Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them. Sunday, October the 1st, 2023. It's time to be great. What's going on, guys? Burgz here from The Casual Athlete, back at it again for the last tipping video of the year. Yes, it's a sad time, but I am so keen for the grand final this Sunday. Cannot wait. It should be a fantastic matchup. Two of the best teams in the competition going at it toe-to-toe. And for the last couple of weeks, I've had my man Longy on the potty with me. Longy, how you going, mate?
Mate, it's a tough one. I've got to watch the Panthers and the Broncos play this week. No, look, honestly, two teams that genuinely deserve their spots. Two best sides this year, you would say. We're going to go into why they're the best sides, but it's going to be a cracking game. If someone can beat Penrith, it's the Broncos.
Yeah, definitely two of the best defenses in the comp at the moment. So we'll see how that one shapes up. Before we move on, guys, I'd just like to remind you to like and subscribe to the channel. We do bring out content each and every week here. We will be continuing that into the off season as well. We've got so many ideas and we love to hear yours as well. So please make sure that you show us down in the comments. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The link is in the description. And please make sure that you don't miss out on any of the new merch over at thecasualathlete.com.au. That's the.casual.athlete.com.au. Make sure that you get your 8 out of 8 tipping shirts. They come in black and white, and I've got a few on the way as we speak. So that's good news for me. I think you shouted me those for winning the comp that we're in as well. So
yeah, not that you won enough money with your tipping comp, $3,500 in that comp.
Yeah, well,
you're doing okay.
It's a good comp to be a part of, and I enjoy it each and every year. So without further ado, Longy, I believe we have a little bit of business to get to here, and we have a game in amongst all of this, lead up, all of this conjecture. Why don't we put the nail in the coffin once and for all? Who's winning the grand final, mate?
Wow, you've come in straight in with that question.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna need to ramble on a bit before we give away our secrets. Look, like we said, it's going to be a battle of the forwards early in this game. You've got two forward packs that absolutely dominated through this final series. You're sort of looking at a situation where there's probably a bit more individual talent in this Broncos forward pack, whereas for the Panthers, it's more of a sort of structure. So the Panthers forwards massively benefit from the fact that their back three run 200 plus meters a game in important games, which means guys like Fisher, Harris, Leota, they can spend more energy sort of running that quick line speed in defense instead of having to use all their energy on those early hit-ups. So for Penrith, it's a good structure. For the Broncos, you just got Payne Haas, who's the best middle forward in the comp. You've got Pat Carrigan, who's arguably the best lock in the comp. And even Flegler's an origin level player too. Neither side has a fantastic hooker on paper, but both hookers have been in form recently, especially Billy Walters. So they're very similar forward packs. They match up well. I'm keen to see sort of how it goes. Miles, I'd love to hear from you how you see this first 10 to 20 minutes going in this game.
Geez, I almost see it like an origin game. I think it's going to be played at breakneck speed. I think they're going to be belting the absolute living hell out of each other. Yeah. These packs, arguably the two best packs in the competition. I know we gave a lot of credit to the Warriors last week, and it was so tough watching them go down. But one thing that I did notice from that game, from the Broncos especially, is they kept the man in form in check, and Adam Fanua-Blake. And it's one of those things where if the Broncos can repeat that effort against this Penrith side, then geez, the world's their oyster. I mean, they've got strike all over the park, and I think the Panthers are going to have to rely on their defense this game. They showed out in attack in the last couple of games in this final series, but both the games between these two teams have been tight this year. We had a 1-point win in round one for the Broncos. That was, a long time ago now, and to think that they're meeting each other in the grand final is unbelievable to think. And then another tight victory from Penrith around late May as well, where it was a 15-8 scoreline. So not a lot in these two teams. So, yeah, it's going to be, as you said, a battle of these forwards and who's really going to win that arm wrestle early on. And I can really see the Broncos starting hard and fast because that's what they love to do.
I mean, let's call out the Broncos this year, right? So the last time they were in the finals before 2023 was that game they lost 58-0. So to come from that, which was sort of 4 years ago, and to then go through periods where they were a shocking team, they were a wooden spoon caliber team, coming to this year, I was getting comments and getting clowned for saying they're a top 8 side. Like I was saying that pretty confidently, and people were laughing at that. So they didn't have the respect at the start of this year. Everyone forgets really quickly how teams were perceived. They've turned from that team into this juggernaut now, where this forward pack has matured. Reece Walsh has absolutely changed the team. We talked about him as the signing of the year in our other video that we did with the awards. I've got so much respect for them. They've come so far from Selwyn Cobbo going on a podcast and saying Kevin Walters can't coach 6 months ago. Like I think no one's really grasping how far they've come in this time and how much of an accomplishment it is what they've done.
Yeah, I think it's the Kevolution, is what they're calling it at the moment.
Did you have that prepared? Was that pre-prepped?
Yeah, it's pre-prepped, man. Heard it somewhere else, but I'm jumping on the bandwagon in terms of the name calling. I love it. The Kevolution, how good. But yeah, I think with especially their head coach, Kevin Walters, he had so many knocks coming on to this year. The fact that they capitulated at the end of last season, you'd think that they'd probably go away and fix it and then become, a bottom of the 8 team, take that next step. But they've come along in leaps and bounds this year. And there are a couple of guys there that have just completely changed the formation and the way the team play, especially Reece Walsh. I can't get over, the way he left the Warriors and that forward pass last week. Yes, we'll talk about it. I mean, I spoke about it in our video last week that I thought the Warriors were a pretty dirty call.
Like, it doesn't matter. That game, the calls are calls, but the Broncos are the better side. I'm not too fussed about that. But he has been very good, and I think he came out and said it wasn't that forward.
Yeah, look, he came out and answered for it. I mean, a little tongue-in-cheek action there, and I don't mind that. I think Penrith have got plenty of those kinds of players on their team as well. A bit of tongue-in-cheek, bit of loud, proud, chest out, owning up to either mistakes or owning up to their haters and their wins. So, yeah, they're a bit he's a polarizing character, I will say, at times, Reece Walsh. I find it very hard to like him sometimes, but I can't I can't give the man props enough for the way he's played this year. And if suspension didn't get in the way, he would 100% be my fullback Dally M of the year. And again, we talked about that in our awards video that's coming out very soon. Should be out the day before the grand final, guys. The real Dally M awards is what we're
the real Dally M.
Give that one.
Man, who cares if they got suspended? If someone got suspended and then managed to still get enough points or still play well enough to win that award, I don't really care if they were suspended. I don't care if they pissed on the field, Russell Packer style. Like it doesn't matter. The other part of this is, look, we're talking about divisive, and you got Reece Walsh. He's going to come out. He's been big on big stages. The other guy that's been big on big stages recently is Jerome Luai. Those two went head to head last time they faced an Origin, and there was that send off moment. There's a bit of heat in that. I know that I'm hearing both sides are saying no, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. On the big day, I'm telling you, that's going to pop off. Here's the first prediction I'm going to make. I think we're going to have at least 3 all-in diffs. I think only 2 players will be sin-binned for some sort of third man in, maybe punching, something like that. But we're going to have quite a few all-in diffs. They're going to start early as well.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a possibility, especially in big games. The tempers run high, the emotions are right up there, aren't they? And you can't just help. Maybe someone gets rubbed a bit the wrong way, and it could end up in curtains for either team. But one thing, I'll move on to Penrith now. We did talk about the Broncos just a little bit. They're chasing history right now. The last team to win 3 in a row was that early 80s Parramatta team, and no team has played in 4 grand finals since the late noughties Melbourne Storm team that actually got 2 premierships stripped off them as well. So does that really count? Don't really know. But yeah, I just think that this team really on the verge of greatness at this point in time, and it's about whether they can, hold that in and capture it, capture the dream, as a lot of people would say. What's the way that Penrith win this game?
Yeah, I mean, how have they won all year, right? So this team came into 2023, they lost Kickout, they lost Coruscant, a lot of explosiveness. They didn't miss a beat. They're the best defensive team in the comp. For Penrith, I think it's about constricting the Broncos. So this Broncos side is a big momentum team. They're a young team compared to Penrith. And they're going to need to build that momentum and build that hype to get themselves going. So if Penrith can, I don't know, kick to the corners, maybe not give too much good ball to Reece Walsh, maybe whack him a few times on the kick returns and that kind of thing too. The Broncos don't have the back three that Penrith do as far as starting sets, so they'll put a lot of pressure on the middle forwards. And if those guys get a bit tired, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to go back to what you said about them being a young team. This is also their first grand final for a lot of these guys. I think with the exception of Luke Capewell and Adam Reynolds, it is the first grand final for basically the whole Broncos team. Whereas this Penrith side, it's mostly the team from last year, minus the guys, as you said, Kickow and Coruscant. I think someone on our team as well said that Penrith wouldn't make the top 4, and I'm not too sure who it was, but I think he was. I think his name was Pongy.
I really wanted to believe that some of the other teams would step up and their attack would suffer. Their attack did suffer this year. Their attack was nowhere near what it was last year, but defensively they held on. And South Sydney, the Roosters, Parramatta, the Cowboys, all these teams are absolute jokes this season. And one of them is my team. It was just a year where, Penrith just kept doing what they were doing at, I think, a lower level than last year. But because the competition fell back so far, they just look so much better this season.
Yeah, well, they conceded 113 less points than the next best team, which was the Broncos. Wow. So just to give you an idea of how good their defense was, that's just an unbelievable stat to bring up there. I think, who is the player from either team that shows out? Who's your Clive Churchill medalist from either team?
I mean, well, if Cleary does anything, he'll just get it. But I'm a bit sus on the Clive Churchill judging a lot of the time. I reckon if Penrith win this game, it's probably the middle third for me. It's probably, and I don't know if there's a highlight that justifies them getting this award, but a James Fisher-Harris or an Isaiah Yeo for me is probably going to be that guy. Maybe a Liam Mutton. He sort of has a few more highlights than those boys, but if a guy like Isaiah Yeo was to pop off an attacking play just to get himself a bit more visible to the voters, I could see him sort of rocking up with 50 tackles and 150 meters and plenty of touches, sort of setting up other players. So I think it'll be one of those games. I'm looking at the other matchups, like the center matchups. Herbie Farmworth and Katoni Staggs can both play. So I don't think Tungo or Crichton will really show out in this one. Maybe, the wingers will probably play well. Dylan Edwards always does what he does, but it's going to be one of the forwards that really steps up here. And the problem with Penrith is it's the whole forward pack that does it. What about you? Who have you got?
Yeah, it's tough. I would also say someone like Liam Martin. I see this game being very defensive. I think I'm not too sure at this point what the overs or unders are for this game, but I'd be going the unders. Just based on the two teams playing each other this year. There was a total of less than 25 points in both games. So, yeah, it's one of those things where if Penrith can grind the Broncos down and play the way that they want to play, which is smash mouth football in your face, we're going to pin you inside your 10 and you're not going to be able to run it out. then I can see the Broncos getting frustrated. And that's why I will go harken back to what you said, that the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game is so important. If Penrith can get that happening, then I just see the Broncos getting frustrated. And a guy like Reece Walsh, we saw it even last week, he can make a mistake. And in a big game, we've seen it cost teams, especially against Penrith. We think of the Cody Walker intercept 2 years ago. Then we think of, Para just generally, they had a good strategy against Penrith in the regular season. But as you said, we're a bit tentative and didn't come out with the right attitude. The Broncos need to be on it from the jump. They need to score first, in my opinion, they can't be chasing this game because
that's a worry.
Penrith are too good from in front.
Yeah, sorry to cut over there, but that's a worry because last week against the Warriors, it was a game where it was 3 tries all pretty much. The Warriors scored quite a few times. They weren't really against the run of play.
Too.
Yeah, and the Warriors, they performed really well this year, but they're not at the caliber that Penrith are. I mean, maybe a better attacking side.
Today's video is proudly sponsored by the Hills Cricket Academy. The Hills Cricket Academy is a sports centre for all ages looking to get into cricket. Whether you're looking to hone your skills or just looking for a hit, then the Hills Cricket Academy is the place for you. The centre provides 5 fully operational nets that can be hired at the click of a button. World-class coaches Nick and Luke have been nurturing young talent for over 10 years, and I'm sure they'll be able to get you or your team's game to where it needs to be. Located at Unit 17, 14 to 16 Stanton Road, Seven Hills. Book a net or become a member today. The link is in the description below. And be sure to mention the Casual Athlete, and the boys down at the Cricket Academy will be more than happy to accommodate you.
When we look at the benches, it's a bit tricky there. I think both have some talent on the benches. Broncos bench has been really good through this final series. Those middle forwards have just come on and done their job as well. I can't really split it on paper.
It's tough.
I think, they've both got some experience. Capewell used to play at Penrith in Liam Mutton's role. So Penrith probably have slightly better edge back rowers, but how much of that is just the system they're in? It's just gonna be a massive game. What are your thoughts on Luai versus Ezra Mam? Because for me, these are two guys who, when we're talking about a tight game where there's not a lot of points on offer, which one of those guys are you thinking produces some individual flair to crack it open? Because for their team to win, those boys probably need to be responsible individually for at least one try.
Yeah, my head initially switches to Luai purely because he's been in this game 3 years in a row. He's played Origin. He's been at that level. He's a little bit older now as well, but there is that, re-injury risk as well. So he may not, want to go totally hard out to risk his injury, but I think he'd give his left arm to make sure that Penrith go 3 on the trot in grand finals. So, with Ezra, though, he's just got that virility and confidence, for a young guy to come in his second year and basically play the lights out in a team that is dominated by Adam Reynolds, but he plays his role to perfection. It's both guys are secondary halves to their halfback. They're not the lead guy, but if I was to see a play from anyone, and I've seen the footwork before, if Jerome Luai decides to take a run at some point, he could step 4 or 5 blokes and get someone through a gap. With Ezra, it's a bit more of, it has to be a little bit set up for him to then
on the front foot,
hit the guy through the hole. Like we saw with Reece Walsh last week. He just picked the right pass. He put Reece straight through, and they scored off the back of it. But I think with Ezra, he's probably the quicker of the two as well, but he always backs up if there's a line break. So he's normally finishing the play, not starting it. And Luai's been a bit better at assisting this year as well compared to recent years.
Yeah, I'll pay that. I think he's had to take more responsibility with kick out going from that edge. That's been the big thing for him. Overs and unders, by the way, 38.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the unders.
Yeah, that's pretty high. At the same time, though, both teams sort of racked up a score last week. So maybe it blows out a bit towards the end. It could be anything. The other thing I wanted to throw at you, I know you're a bit of an Adam Reynolds fan. So Reynolds versus Cleary, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Like,
it is.
Cleary's the better player. He's that guy who's got a shot at being the best player in the game over the next sort of 10 years. But is there a world where Adam Reynolds outplays Cleary in this game, and how would that happen?
Well, let's look at it at this point in Reynolds' career. He's 33 at the moment. He's played in 24 finals games with a 13-10 record and one draw actually in there as well, believe it or not. And then we've also got Cleary, who's only 25, but he's played in 19 finals games with a 13-5 record. It's both guys are the spearhead of their team. And if they can get their kicking games going, then you know that they are going to be lethal weapons. And we've heard a lot about Cleary getting a bit of help over the week and things like that. And it's all nonsense. You know, it's one of those things that I think every team does and every team would do if they could get away with it. I don't want to knock Penrith for maybe outsmarting the system a little bit to protect Cleary from kicking. Maybe other teams should start doing it rather than complaining about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Reynolds is one of the most creative kickers, especially short kicking game in the competition. He just seems to produce a play with his foot from nowhere, and both guys kick goals at over an 80% clip for their careers as well. So, yeah, they're tough guys to split, but I would have to give the form line to Cleary. And again, the experience in the big games has not been kind to Adam Reynolds. He only won I think it was his third preliminary final on the weekend.
Wow.
He's been in 6. So it's one of those things where he's also lost a grand final 2 years ago to the same team, and he's back here again, probably with a bit more of an idea of how they play, how they work, and using a different team around him. But that's the reason Broncos signed him, right? To get them to this day, to get them to a shot at this grand final. And yeah, if he could produce one for them, it might be one of the all-time signings up there with, the Cooper Cronks of the world, where he got to at the back end of his career. If Reno can get one here.
No, if we're talking about, also, hello, dog. This is better than Cronk because Cronk came into a Rooster side that was looking pretty good. Reynolds came into a Broncos side that was fresh off wooden spoons and, really, really down there. So, yeah, if he gets there, he's been the winning factor on 2 teams. And Souths haven't been themselves since he left as well. So, yeah, so I can't speak highly enough of Adam Reynolds. I think he gets slept on a bit because, we talk about the best halves in the game, the best halfbacks even. And Mitch Moses has some bigger highlights. He's a great player. Like Cherry Evans has done it for such a long time. Cleary, Hines, he's around there. He's a bit more of a 6 in my eyes, but Sean Johnson's there. Like we're just spoiled with fantastic number 7s right now. Not too many of them are super young, so it's going to be interesting to see what in the next wave turns up. But yeah, we're spoiled with these guys. And Adam Reynolds, he's been at the peak of his powers for a really long time. So I'd love for him to win one. Cleary's going to have so many chances to win them. Look,
yeah, the team is set up for the next 7 years. So
they are, and it's their system, right? So they can just bring guys in. Like you're seeing Alamorty going to the Panthers next year, and we'll talk about this in the preseason when we go into Panthers analysis. But they just keep plugging these guys in who have some talent and have some chops and giving them a shot. And some of them take it, some of them don't. For this game, I don't know. Like it's a different environment to see some of these guys. Like I'm really excited to watch Carrigan, Haas, Flegler in particular, and just see how they respond to this environment. If they respond well, like, they're the more talented pack, but they're not as battle hardened. So I'm just really excited to watch it.
Yeah, one thing I think Penrith won't be able to do is beat the Broncos up down the middle, because that's where they make their bread. It's going to be a phenomenal game. And with that, I would like to move on to some score predictions. I'll go first for you, mate. Give you a chance to think about it before I spring it on to you. Chasing greatness doesn't come easy, especially 3 in a row. And we've seen how hard it is to even make 2 in a row. But I just believe in this Panthers team so hard right now. It's just one of those things where I can't switch away from them. And even if they get here, I expect them to be in and around the conversation even next year as well, just because of how they're set up. I'm going to go with the Panthers this week. I think it will be extremely close. Possibly, a try in it. I think the game could be tied with about 10 minutes to go. And in the last 10, the Panthers produce something from somewhere to be able to get over the top and win that 3rd in a row. They've got all the experience in this game. I think they start a bit more confidently. They'll come out here, and this is their backyard. It has been for the last 3 years. And the Broncos will do well to not get swept up in the emotion and the lead up to this entire week, because it is a big week. I just think it gets them on this day, and they will be better for it and battle hardened for next year as well. They've come from nowhere, but I just don't see it progressing to a win. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the Panthers 14-10, and I'm going to go with Liam Martin as the Clive Churchill medalist.
Mate, wow, 14-10. That's a grind. That's a real grind. I could see something like that happening. I'm going to go a little more points in this game. And I'm going to script it out for you too, because I think there's going to be quite a few big plays. I think we haven't seen the last intercept try that we're going to see. There are a few guys in both teams that go for them, and there are going to be some big stakes moments where people are going to throw those passes. So I think we're going to see 18-17 to the Broncos. And I'll explain how we get there. So it's going to be 16-all with about 10 to go. Actually, I'm going to call it right now. 8 minutes and 37 seconds on the clock. Nathan Cleary will kick a field goal, probably about 35 out, bit to the side. Absolute cracker, game winner, or so we think. There's going to be a somewhat, not extremely, but somewhat controversial penalty late in the game where the Broncos will kick a penalty to go ahead. Adam Reynolds, he's had chances to kick goals before to win games. He's done it sometimes. He's missed some of them. He's going to make this one, and they're going to win the game on that penalty. People will think it's a soft finish to a great grand final, but that's how I see it going.
Who's your Clive Churchill medalist?
I think it's Payne Haas. I think he just rocks up.
Both of us are picked forwards for the Clive Churchill medal.
It's 2 of the best forward packs we've ever seen facing up against each other. Just 2 constricting forward packs who dominate. Like, it has to be. It's either the forwards or, I mean, they've both got grade 7s, but I think the forwards are going to decide this game.
Yeah, wow. Going to be a huge game. Sunday, October 1st, 2023, will decide the King of Kings for the Telstra Premiership in the NRL. Longy, thank you so much for coming on the show the last couple of weeks, and thank you to everyone who has tuned in each and every week. I've been blessed this year by your constant watching of my videos. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to get back into next season as well. We've got a lot coming up, maybe even a subscribers tipping comp as well. So stay tuned for that information. Anything you'd like to add, Longy, at this stage?
Yeah. No, look, massive thank you to everyone who's been here every week, and guys like Queenslander, who's no doubt shooting for the Broncos this week. Just so much support in the comments. Everyone's so friendly in this community. I've loved every person that's been a part of it this year with us. So, no, it's been such an amazing year. Next year is going to be even bigger and better, and I enjoy this every week. Whether it's talking fantasy, tipping, Pacific Championships, which is what's coming up, it's been an absolute pleasure, Burgz, and everyone here. On our other video, by the way, there are a couple of giveaways. So we've got some free hats coming through from one of the sponsors. So go over there as well. There's a couple of little comments you can leave to win on those too. So we're giving you something back.
Definitely. Looking to get bigger and better in 2024 for the casual athlete. That is all for the tipping and predictions videos this year, guys. I hope you like them. Please let me know what you think about the grand final tips and predictions down in the comments section below. Let me know if you're with myself or Longy. We'd love to get amongst it, get amongst the banter as much as possible. And we'll catch you on the next one.